There's certainly within our church a deep love for this sanctuary. I really love this place. But in thinking forward, we have to ask ourselves, what do we want to define us as a church? A conviction is a belief you have and it motivates you to do something. It's the reason for your actions. And therefore, we should take risk and we should move forward in order to live out those convictions wherever that's going to take us.
Over the last several years, 3 of those 10 core convictions have felt incredibly constrained. The convictions of hospitality, evangelism, and fellowship are pressed up against every single week as we cram into this building or usher people in and out of their parking spaces so that we can have the next worship service.
Our staff, we would always say, there's always room at the table. It's kind of like if you're at a family reunion and you remember when the family was really small and you could all just sit around the one table. But then what happens when all some people start getting married or there's the grandkids? Do you close off the table or do you just start pulling in chairs? You start adding the card table. You start putting some people in the other room. We've done the same thing here because we're family. We just never saw that coming, but we never wanted to turn anyone away who came. That's where we're being fractured as a church.
Right now, there is a barrier of inviting someone to come to church with us because you have no idea if there's going to be a place for them to park, and you have no idea if there's going to be a place for them to sit. The head coach of the UAB baseball team came to me and asked if he could bring his entire team to church. He said, "Is there going to be room for us?" My first reaction wasn't yes.
For a non-believer, the moment you walk into this space alone, it is overwhelming. You're walking up these stairs, and we try to be as hospitable as possible with our teams up top. But when it comes to the entry points of our church, you are immediately in the thick of it.
From entering into the chaos of parking, our family is splitting from the start. We're coming through an alley and we're playing chicken with other cars, trying to swerve around. You're fighting for a spot. That's not how, at least I would envision a family being able to go to church together, where you find a parking spot and walk in as a family and worship as a family.
We've been at 4 services for 7 years. So this isn't a new thing. This is 7 years of the Lord pulling people in and then us struggling to keep showing them gospel hospitality and living into that fellowship, living into evangelism, because there's only so much we could do in this place.
Discipleship only happens in the context of community. And it is impossible for us to become the full picture of who Christ purchased us to be when we have to be in and out. When our interactions on Sundays feel more like a transaction than like spiritual transformation, that's a problem. The Sunday morning turns into efficiency-based versus like, I'm going to go spend time with my family.
We're phasing in our development of this for us to get on site. This is a temporary sanctuary. It's really important for us to be able to go ahead and to get here so we could begin to live into those convictions that we have felt strained for so long. The next, 2, 3, 4 years, we are not going to be surrounded by the stained glass sitting in that beautiful building. We'll be reminding ourselves that the church is the people and that we're gathering together, and we can actually now freely start bringing in more people and lingering together.
What does it mean that we are going to have to go to a temporary structure for a little bit? What are the creature comforts that we're going to have to sacrifice? This matters now because God has brought us here. And at the end of the day, this is an opportunity that God is presenting us to say, if we believe what we say we do, it is worth it.
When I think about Redeemer's future, I get so excited thinking about our Sundays feeling like a Sabbath than just another event. That it can feel as though we are rushed in and rushed out versus a day that is set aside for worship of the triune God. For that worship would begin not when a song is sung, but that worship would begin when I pull into the parking lot. That there would be a place for me and my 2 kids and my wife. It makes me wonder, is this building going to slow our pace down enough and slow us down enough that on a Sunday morning we would be able to hear Jesus, that he is among us, but that we would slow down enough to have the awareness to like see him at work in like a whole new way.
Do we want a building to define us, or do we want our convictions to define us? I want our convictions as a church to define who we are, and not a building. A future in which these convictions are driving us forward. We deeply believe these things, and that's what the Lord is going to use to reach the city.